finds us, and I guess that has to do with money.
Well,
Who pays him?
well, part of his salary, a good bit of it, about a fifth of it, is paid by the United States, which pays to support the United Nations Human Rights Council. And so he is an American, 81 years old, a former professor of international law at Princeton, has a history of making statements kind of like this. And what we've seen at the UN in the wake of this posting is we've seen this kind of massive buck passing where reporters have been saying to UN officials, you know, does the Secretary General agree with this? Does he support with this? And what's he going to do about it? And basically he doesn't agree with it. But he says, I can't do anything about it. Nobody can do anything about it. Apparently the Human Rights Council is a separate body. It's elected by members of the UN. And you have to remember, a lot of the members of the United Nations are very anti-American. They are not free countries. They are not countries that are liberal democracies that have things like freedom of speech, freedom of religion. A lot of them are repressive, and a lot of them don't like the United States. And in the past, I mean, we're talking about members like Cuba, like China, like Venezuela. And we've had a number of very, very anti-democratic countries with terrible human rights records being elected to the Human Rights Council and denouncing the United States.
Well, I think it's notable that Ambassador Susan Wright tweeted what she thought about it, tweeted her outrage. She tweeted, someone who spews such vitriol has no place at the UN. Time for him to go.
Absolutely.
So the Obama administration is playing what they think about him.
Well, that's right. And she has, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, has condemned this. Other U.S. officials have condemned this. But in the past, they have said good things about the Human Rights Council, which has been, certainly among its critics, kind of a joke that isn't at all funny, because you have so many violators of human rights on this council.
All right, he's tried to backpedal a little bit,
Yeah.
and he's tried to say it wasn't really what I meant to say. He said,
Yeah.
in part, he says, my only effort was to suggest that in addition to grieving and bringing the perpetrators to justice, this could also be an occasion for collective self-scrutiny as a nation and as a people. There was nothing to stop him from saying that in the beginning. He only said it after everyone, was outraged.
That's right. And in his explanation, he says he wasn't trying to connect any dots in that original posting, but he was trying to connect the dots, and the dots were that the world has been enraged by American conduct in the war on terror, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the Bush administration in general, and this is what happened. He called, now he's an American, remember, he called the United States a menace to the world and to itself in the original post. So he's backing off a little bit if you read his correction or explanation today.
A little late, though.
It's a little late,
It's a
and
little
also
late.
it's because he got so many negative comments. It's like he feels like he's been mistreated by getting negative reaction to this.
And it's not that he's a Princeton professor. It's not like he wasn't smart enough to put out in the beginning what he really thought.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
it's not like he had some sort of communication problem. I mean, this is clearly what he thought, and he just backpedaled now.
Yeah, and he's been on the leftist fringe for decades and decades and decades. He's been doing and saying this kind of stuff.
This is way off the charts. This one's way off the charts.
Absolutely, it is, and he said it, at a time when obviously the sensitivity about the Boston story is huge, and we saw this a little bit after September 11th. There were some who blamed the United States for the attack on the United States at the time. Not that the United States had committed it, but that it brought it on itself by its policies in the world. Now we're seeing it again.
And now we're paying for them in part. Anyway, Byron, thank you.